Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, democracy. Democracy is the will of the people. The majority rules, without infringing people's human rights. That's basically what kind of democracy we have supposedly nowadays. Well, what if you were elected yesterday and today you have 23% approval rating? Are you still having the authority to rule? Do you have the Imperium? You have are you in the, you're supported by the population that supposedly voted for you? And what should you do? Under the current democratic system, you gotta wait until this guy goes away and his mandate expires, and then you go to the polls again and vote for another weasel. So you screw your life for 4 years, and then you screw your life for another 4 years. So with the help of these guys, the mass media, that will not make an effort to look deeper into these weasels' character and actions, the population will vote based on whatever is fed by the mass media. In this case, we have Macron, Emmanuel Macron, I might add, who's the current president of France. And he was elected a second time. He beat Marine Le Pen, the far-right Nazi, fascist, racist, whatever you want to call her. Now it seems like Mr. Macron has an approval rating of 23% in France after he took over the so-called pension reform, which will make the French work longer years. He's 23. What are we going to do about it? Nothing. Just wait until his mandate expires. I have two articles here. One talking about Le Pen and Macron, saying that if an election will be conducted now, she would win. Okay, good to know. And the other one is a little, an opinion poll on how popular Macron is in France. So let's get this thing started. And we'll start with Agence France Presse, Wednesday, April 5, 2023. Le Pen would beat Macron if French presidential vote repeated, poll suggests. This is Marine Le Pen. Now, French far-right leader Marine Le Pen would beat Emmanuel Macron if the presidential election of last year were repeated now. A shock poll suggested Wednesday on the eve of fresh protests against the government's pension reform. The survey from the ELAB group for the BFM TV channel indicated Le Pen would score 55% and President Macron 45% if they faced each other in a runoff vote. Well, I don't really like these things. How about you guys vote when you're supposed to and you give this to whomever you like? All right? This is like I don't want to go that way. Anyway, last April, Macron defeated Le Pen by a margin of 58.5% to 41.5% to become the first French president to win a second term in 2 decades. Emmanuel Macron would struggle to retain his electorate. Only 7 out of 10 would vote for him again under this hypothesis. Bernard Sananès, head of ELAB, told BFM. And blocking vote against the far right would be much lower. He said Le Pen's gains were spectacular and she would progress in all electoral categories. Well, good. But the results given a snapshot of changing dynamics in French politics, with Le Pen widely seen as the biggest winner from months of protest over Macron's unpopular bid to raise the retirement age to 64 from 62 currently. I think the French realized that they were duped and they voted for this guy who was tailored by interests, and the other one was painted as right here. Right? There you go. And even worse. And I'm going to tell you a a little story if I don't forget by the end of this. So we have here another guy who tries to do things, and that is the, I don't think I have it. I have him here, but anyway, this right here, the far left leader. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking. Mélenchon, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the far left leader who has backed protesters and strikers, has lost support. Well, this poll and another on Monday by the IFOP, whatever, Fiducian survey group suggested. So it's not the left, it's not Macron, but it's Le Pen. So I'm going to jump to this article from Morning Consult, and it says Macron approval rating hits record low during retirement fight. And we go down here and we have this little poll, I think it is, and we go here to approval rating for Macron dropped to below, what, I would say 23%. Here I saw it somewhere, so 23%, and this approval would get, I don't know, 70 some. And it says just 23% of French adults on March 21st say they approve of Macron's jobs performance. If it's a far cry from where he stood around the same time last year after Russia's invasion, Ukraine helped boost Macron approval to 42%. Well, what can you do? So do you have authority to rule Macron? I don't think so. Now let me tell you a little story. Maybe many of you know that I've been traveling for the past 2 weeks, and on my way back home to the land of the brave, home of the good, and all that, which I think that was accurate at one point. Now I don't think it still stands there for the majority of this great nation. They are decimating it, killing its culture, killing its values, diluting all the standards. Therefore, we're going to have diversity, inclusion, and equity. I'm very fond of those three terms, if you really realize. Now, when I was coming back, I stopped in Munich, and I was over there and tried to get a seat and for my plane, for my connection. And there was a woman over there, and while I was speaking, I gave her my passport and whatever. She had an Eiffel Tower on her keychain. And I said, oh, have you been to Paris? And I said, well, I'm French. All right, in Munich. No problem. I said, yeah, okay, we're from France. Where she told me from Toulouse. And she said that she likes to go to Paris, but only to visit, not to live over there. I said, why, you don't want to join the protesters? And she said, no. And she said something that she likes Macron. I said, well, what about Le Pen? And she said, well, Le Pen is a racist. Okay, and what is Macron? Well, I would vote about Macron. And I made a joke that she didn't get it, I think, because she didn't react to it. I said, well, I hope you're not at the retirement age. That would mean you're going to be... But probably she doesn't care because she works in Germany. So I don't know exactly how things work in the European Union, but probably she's a French citizen. Anyway, so she was voted again, would vote for Macron, but she's probably in those 23%. And the other one, she immediately told me that Le Pen, she's a racist. There you have it. So that's and I couldn't remember Mélenchon, whatever the far left guy's name is. I would have asked her about that, but probably she would stick with Macron. I think Macron is a smart guy. Unfortunately, he's in the pockets of big banking interest, where he comes from, actually. So he's doing what he's supposed to for them, not for I would say, from the majority of the French. How should I call them? I have a little problem over there, right? Yeah, okay. So I don't know, French voters. I don't want to call it a nation, because you are yourselves as these guys are themselves as well. If you know what I mean, diversity, inclusion, all that. Well, what can I do? What can you do? Why don't you bring Napoleon again and create the Grande Armée? All right, to fight the Prussians, the Russians, the Brits, and all that, and see what Grande Armée you're gonna gather. Oh my God. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.